Okay, so before I ask all of you guys to turn over your sheets, the whole idea of what we're going to talk about today is the basics of carbs. We're going to talk about some carb timing, and we're going to talk about eating out. And the reason why we're going to do that is because I think our demographic tends to, when asked in the past, will eat out a lot more than is typically good for a fat loss regimen. So usually when you're going to eat for fat loss, you would eat out no more than 2 or 3 times a week. And I think a lot of people, if you start to look at their breakfasts, their lunches, and their dinners, they do eat out a little bit more than that. Margaret, I'm going to just hand you this. Sit wherever you want. And we will go face down. And there's some pens on. Just keep it face down for a minute. So the whole concept is that we're going to play a game to start. And I recognize, especially with some of these, that they're going to be a little fast food oriented. And most of the people in this room, just by simply coming to us, do a much better job with fast food than the general population. I'm well aware of that. But my thought process is as we kind of go through the first couple of slides, it's just to kind of get an awareness of, okay, I didn't realize there were that many calories in XYZ. I didn't realize there was that much sodium in XYZ. And as we're doing this, I put in some more slides where I break down the protein, the fat, the carbohydrate of each particular burger, piece of fish, dessert, that type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, if you don't know what your caloric intake for a day should be, I'm going to give you some general parameters. Margaret, you know what yours is, right? Because you and I have talked a lot about this.
Yes.
Here's how I'll tell you. If you have not done an in-body at the gym, you should. Because in the top right-hand corner, it tells you what your basal metabolic rate is. What is your basal metabolic rate? That is the least amount of calories you should have in a day. If you go under that, you will store fat no matter what. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it because your body thinks it's in a deficit and then it'll just store because it's waiting for winter. Winter is coming on Sunday. So for those of you who don't know that, it's very easy to figure that out. Also know that when we generate a basal metabolic rate, we're taking into consideration your exercise habits. So for, again, those of you who come to the gym, when we are looking at the tiles up on the screen, we're looking at how many calories are you burning. Because you want to be in a caloric deficit when you're trying to lose fat, but you don't want to take it so far down that you're burning 1,000 calories, you're only eating 1,500 calories, which means you only have 500 calories in your body. That's not good. That's why people, and knowing the people that are in this room, that's why people like Michael Phelps, eat 6,000, 7,000 calories a day because they're working out 5,000 of them. So, are we good with that? Okay, turn your slides over. And again, I know my demographic, so I knew if I put up that picture, most of you might remember that that is the main theme of War Games. So, shall we play a game? All right. So, again, I recognize that most of you will not probably, I'll stand on this side, it'll be a little bit easier for you, Charlie. Most of you don't eat McDonald's, but if you had to guess, quarter pounder with cheese or premium grilled chicken, circle what you would guess.
Can you say what's on the grilled chicken, what the other things are? It looks like there's bacon in there.
All I know is I don't eat at McDonald's, so I don't know what's on there, but that's the basic idea. You can come in.
And this is for calorie count?
So this is just for what do you think is the healthier option?
Oh, the healthier option.
Oh, the healthier option.
Okay.
That's what you want us to circle.
Just circle. Here, come on up, please. Or just, can I get one of you to come up? You can play the game too. I'm glad you're here. We're playing a game. So all you guys have to do is you have to guess which one's the healthier option. Okay, did everybody have something circled except for my 2 friends in the back?
Yep.
All right, the answer is the quarter pounder with cheese. So if you guessed right, good for you. Why? If you look throughout the screen, you're going to see how many calories are in each, how many grams of fat, mostly sodium on these first couple. Everybody's always going to think chicken's going to be healthier because that's what you think, but when you start using Margie, putting all that other crap on there, and guess what? We're out of luck. All right, let's play the game again. Dunkin' Donuts, ham, egg, and cheese English muffin or a multigrain bagel with light cream cheese? You don't have to yell it out, but just circle. I do want you to play the game because I'm going to ask you to figure out how well you did at the end.
You're picking more or less?
Which one's the healthier? The answer for all of these questions is if I had only these 2 items in front of me, which one do I think is healthier for me? We good? Mm-hmm. Okay. The answer is the ham and egg and cheese English muffin. Okay? 500 calories, 15 grams of fat. Now, I want you to start to pay attention to the calorie count. Okay? Because if you are on a 1,500 calorie a day diet or a 1,750 calorie a day diet, that's a whole lot of your calories and not a whole lot of fulfillment. You with me? All right, linguine marinara or stuffed chicken marsala. I don't eat at Olive Garden either, again, but in general, okay? So you have linguine marinara and stuffed chicken marsala. We're gonna do about 20 of these because I really want to bang this point home. Everybody circled? The answer is linguine marinara. And most of you probably would not have chosen the linguine because you would have thought it was bad. But it's the mushroom sauce, the marsala sauce, it's all the heavy cheeses, the heavy creams that go into this dish that make that dish. I mean, look at that. For some people in this room who are in that kind of petite range, that 5'1", 5'2", that's almost your whole day's worth of calories right there. No way that's all you just eat. All right, let's keep playing. Chicken shrimp fajitas, firecracker tilapia. So fish, is that healthier? Fajitas, is that healthier? What do you think? Again, I'm using fast food stuff because it was easy to find on the internet, and it's chili, so there's probably, you see the vegetables on one side, you see the peppers and stuff on the other. Are we ready? Mm-hmm. Who picked the tilapia? If you picked the tilapia, good for you. Okay, again, look at the difference in calories. It's almost triple. Okay, you have a question?
Are you going to talk about sodium a little bit?
I am.
Okay.
I am. And I mean, obviously, if you're just looking at the bottom, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right. This one's a big one for some people because they're just trying to, breakfast is always hard. So you're going to go to Starbucks and grab a grande vanilla latte, a ham and egg and cheese sandwich, or a 2% chocolate mocha, which I don't even know what the hell that is, with a bran muffin with nuts. This one I think is one of the more common ones because people tend to try and grab breakfast on the go, especially those of you who travel for work. All right, well, you would have been better off at Starbucks. Okay, look at the sugar content. Most of that's going to be in the coffee on that one. Okay, because the chocolate mocha is caramel macchiato, whatever the hell that is, with sugar frappuccino bases. So how many of you have ever had, is it called the medicine ball at Starbucks when you're sick? There's something at Starbucks called the medicine ball, and it's got lots of spices and flavors, and it's they tell you to take that when you have a cold and you're sick. Someone figured out the other day that it is 1,800 calories, most of it being sugar. So oftentimes people go to Starbucks and it's like they're having a whole day's worth of their calories and sugar in just a drink. All right, chicken Caesar wrap or a grilled chicken sandwich. We're at Chick-fil-A. Now most people go Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is way healthier than all the other fast food chains, right? No. So, is it healthier to eat the chicken Caesar wrap or the grilled chicken sandwich? All right, we ready?
Yep.
Grilled chicken sandwich. Now, most of you probably would have thought the wrap was better because it's less bready. But for the chicken Caesar wrap, the reason why that automatically becomes healthier is because even though you think that you're having less, the dressing is probably going to be overdressed. Look at the sodium in there, that's ridiculous. Okay, so sometimes you're not always making the best choices, and you think you are. So that's not me trying to spank you, it's like, wow, I thought I was doing a good job. All right, 6-inch tuna sub or 6-inch double roast beef at Subway. Remember, Jared got, before he decided to become a pedophile, he got completely, thinned on 6-inch subs. All right, we have our guess? Okay. Double roast beef. Double roast beef. Why? The mayonnaise mostly on that one. Okay. Now, I would say, especially with some of the other options that have been out there. Just pass this back if you would. With some of the options that we've already seen, neither one of them is going to be like the worst. Okay, it's certainly not those 1,300 calorie meals. But, if you have a choice and you're trying to count your calories, this is where you are. Okay, so Anna, what we're doing, we're guessing which one is better, healthier, the better improvement. So a tostada salad from Chevy's and a Santa Fe chopped salad. Again, I recognize a lot of you don't eat at these places, but sometimes you go, especially me, when Kelly and I are out of town and we're at an airport convention, the only thing that's around are these fast food chains. But we'll hop in a car and, take an Uber to a nicer restaurant. But a lot of times, you know, for people, this is your only option. All right, everybody got a guess?
Yep.
All right, were you right?
Yes.
Perfect. I want you to look at, I ordered a salad at Chevy's, and it was 1,228 calories. That's nuts.
Look how much fat.
Look how much sodium.
Oh, God, I didn't even get there.
Okay, so, again, I'm trying to help you go, maybe I should make some good choices. We're nearing the end of this, so just stick with me if you can. We're back to salads again, because this one I thought was interesting. Salad or pizza?
Salad or
pizza? Ready?
Ready.
Oh, you're thinking. There's a lot of smoke going on in the room. The ears are just... We ready?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I got it right.
Some of you are starting to get competitive. Like, yes! Okay? Again, the salad is not always going to be the best choice on the menu. Okay? Especially dressing-wise. Ruby Tuesdays, burger with fries, top sirloin. I swear, if you don't get this one right.
Yeah.
We ready? Sirloin. I mean, the fries are what really should throw you off on that one.
Right.
If you got that one wrong, it's okay, no big deal. Okay, but I mean, it's literally almost an 800 calorie difference. You can get steamed broccoli, you can get green beans. So you know, a lot of times when you get into that, you're good. All right. So now this is where I want to break down a little bit more the sodium, the fat, and all that stuff. Okay. Again, I know you guys don't do this, but I do know people, especially at our gym, who are like, sometimes I just want a burger from a fast food joint. Okay? For those of you who don't know me, I have a rule. If you are trying to lose fat at our gym, if the restaurant you go to has a drive-through window, you don't ever eat there. So that's how you know. Okay. So what do we think?
Oops.
Just guess. All right. So this one, we got 670 calories for the Whopper.
Good.
And we've got,
I did the Whopper too.
so the Big Mac works. Now most of you might not, I would say that there's not a whole lot of difference there. They're both not great, okay? But especially when you get into the cholesterol and the saturated fats and stuff like that, I mean, you know, we didn't get into that much detail because a lot of times, just so you know, the restaurants are not required to show all this, but fast food chains were required to do that a couple years ago. So, there you go. All right, this one's a big one. Now we're back at the Starbucks Dunkin' Donuts thing. All right, how many of you see teenagers getting these? I mean, for those of you who come to the gym or are right here in 7th Street, any one of those Dutch Brothers things that the line is 17 miles long, wait till you see this if you don't know this. All right, so this one, these are one of the better ones, okay? So 370 calories, 220 calories, very little protein, some decent carbs, lots of sugar, 54 grams of sugar, okay? You're kind of more on this side, okay? I put this one up more for you guys to, if you have grandchildren, if you have teenagers at home, to kind of get them to stop drinking this crap, okay? All right, we're back at the healthy deal. Are we at Blimpie's or Subway because we're trying to have a 6-inch sandwich? Yes. We are, absolutely. So what'd you think? So the Philly steak or the cheesesteak? Believe it or not, this cheesesteak was better than the tuna.
Yeah.
And it's a cheesesteak.
How are you supposed to tell that just by looking at it?
I'm going to get there.
Okay.
I promise I'll get there. So we choose that. Okay, I got a few more of these. Where am I? Yeah, I've got about 8 more. All right. Again, this one I wanted to put up for those of you who work in an office. Okay, you work in an office and somebody decides it's Donut Wednesday. Okay, so 1 chocolate cream filled Dunkin' Donut or 1 chocolate cream filled Krispy Kreme. You're trying to be the good doobie and bring in donuts for everybody. First of all, if you're being a good doobie, don't bring in the damn donuts. Okay, and the answers are
Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme wins, not by much, not by much. Okay, I mean, we're not talking anything great shakes, but if you just are told you're in charge of donuts, Krispy Kreme's normally going to be your better bet. All right, again, now we're at a healthier version. We're at Panera or the Corner Bakery. We're having a little turkey panini. What do you think? I'm going to answer John's question in just a second coming from this.
Oh, missed it.
You lost if you said Corner Bakery.
I did.
Okay, just a few more to make the point. All right, it's Friday night. You have kids and grandkids. They just won their first soccer game. Everybody's going out for ice cream. You want to make it easy. Are we doing an Oreo cookie McFlurry or a Blizzard? Yeah, this one's going to shock the shit out of you.
Yes, I got it.
Wasn't that smaller too?
They're both, that's what the 337 grams is. They're both about the same size. Okay? Look at the sugars, ridiculous. Look at the carbs, ridiculous. Calories, so not so great. All right, last couple. Again, I wanted to choose a couple breakfast ones because a lot of times we're on the road, we're trying to go fast. Do we even still have Hardee's?
In some places.
Okay.
Yeah. In Illinois.
Well, now we know why the Midwest is fatter than the rest of the country. Because we're supposed to have Burger King instead of Hardee's. Again, look at the sodium, people. Sodium's killing you. All right, I think I'm almost done. Where am I?
You're on 19.
Okay, I'll go fast. I think
Oh, no.
So we're back at
No,
salads.
19. Chipotle. Why did
Everybody thinks Chipotle is healthier. I have to tell you to go to Wendy's instead of Chipotle.
You didn't answer that,
Okay.
so it's a freebie.
2,000.
Too fast.
That's like 3 times the amount of sodium in a day in one meal for a salad. Okay, so just keep that in mind. This one I'm just going to go fast. Has anybody even had one of these in your lifetime?
Oh, yeah, I've had
In my lifetime.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then I'll wait. I'll give you a second to guess, but I'm going to tell you a quick story. We had a nephew who his favorite thing to do in college was he would go up to the drive-through window and he would just say, "Give me what the car in front of me had," just to kind of see what would happen.
Oh, how
One
cute.
day he got 37 fish fillets. I thought that was kind of a funny game. All right, what do we think? Burger King loses. You can't go across the street for a fillet of fish at Burger King. By a lot too, right? Almost double. Okay, not great. I wanted to do one more salad type thing, and then I'm going to end with something just to kind of do it, to wrap it up. Chicken sandwich, chicken Caesar cool wrap.
Okay.
I think my
Sandwich.
animation got a little bit crazy. So, Chick-fil-A chicken wrap is worse than, and you should have remembered this from the one earlier. I put this one up
Right.
twice. I'm not going to, does anybody really get buffalo wings anymore? I mean, I think after college you should stop having buffalo wings. It should be a rule. Gary, I saw you shake your head. Even Colin's too old. Colin's his like 30-year-old son. He's too old for...
I don't eat wings. Never have.
All right, last one. So now you're splurging.
Okay.
Look, I love John's face. Are you out of your mind? I haven't had a Cinnabon in like 40 years. All right.
I'm going to say that. Yeah, 410.
I put this one up just so you can see what 880 calories, what half of your day is when you're sitting in the mall and just going like this. And you get a little bit more food that day. All right, just curious, how many did you get right? If you're just throwing your hands up, A, that's probably a good thing because you're probably not eating at these places. But have I somewhat made my point with what healthy choices sometimes look like, and then they're not really healthy? Now, if you go to a place where they're going to do a little bit better of their ingredients, and they're going to be a little bit more aware of their dressings and things like that, you're okay. Now, I'm going to answer John's question right now, and just to repeat it for the video, is how do you know? How do you know what's in these things? Well, a couple things. Obvious answer is if you're going to a fast foodie type place, they now have to put it out there. You can go online and you can look it up, okay? If you're going to a one-off, and when I say a one-off, I mean like a Tarbell's or you could get the calorie count at Capital Grille. You can get a calorie count at Ruth's Chris. These are nicer, higher end chains. They are now legally required to put most of the ingredients in there. And I haven't looked in a little while, but I remember the Ruth's Chris one is like when you get your steaks cooked with butter or without butter. Okay, so you can get a lot of information before you get there. What we tell people when they start on some of our programs like Fit in 42, where you are like absolutely supposed to be eating perfectly, is that if you have to eat out, you do your research before you leave on your trip or before you leave to go to that place. If you want this to be that important to you. So for most of the people in the room who go to the gym, when TJ was training for his bodybuilding event, there was one night he was going to have to go out with his family. And he literally went over everything that was on that menu and figured out how many calories, where's my sodium, how much, and he figured out exactly where he could order before he even got in the building. Now, do you want to do that much work? Probably not. However, do you want to look a certain way? Well, maybe then it's worth the work, isn't it? All right. Last thing. I thought this one was really interesting. Okay? You don't have to actually write this down, but I am asking you, which one do you think is the most healthy and the least healthy? And I will go one at a time. Okay? So everybody just pick your most healthy and your least healthy, and we'll fill in the rest. Okay? Everybody got it? Most healthy, Chick-fil-A. You can make better choices there. Probably most of you had that one. Who thinks they're second healthiest? Who has that? Okay. Okay. Taco Bell is right. Brian knows his fast food.
I know my Taco Bell.
All right. What do you think 3 is? You got 2 out of 3 shot.
James.
And then KFC, Domino's, and PF Chang's. PF Chang's is notorious for sodium and sauces and portion size. You're getting hammered on portion size. So again, a lot of you probably don't eat at the ones in the middle, but you might eat the one at the top and the one at the bottom. And the Domino's one I think is interesting just because, especially if you're a parent and you're like, oh my God, my day has just been hell, let's just order pizza. Domino's is a very common bet. All right, let's keep going. So eating out healthy has a lot of benefits to it, but you have to work a little bit at it. You got to plan, you got to prep, and you got to be willing to try new things because you're going to get bored quickly. Okay? And as you get bored, it's going to drive you absolutely batty. Why are you giving me that look?
Oh no, I was giving it to him.
Is this the willingness to try new things?
Absolutely.
Yeah, got it. You are a 4-ingredient man? Okay, so how do you do it? Well, again, for those of you ladies who don't know us very well, we have a trainer who is notorious for bringing in Tupperware. Like 6 or 7 of them. He preps his meals all day. He is so much so that he has figured out how he and his roommates will tag on to his grandmother on Wednesday so they can get the senior discount all day Wednesday for their meats and chickens. So if you have a person who gets senior discounts at groceries, as Trottle can talk about, that's the day to go. You just have to have somebody who has an age-appropriate thing. So this is not that hard, and I bet you a lot of you are looking at this picture and going, you know, some of that doesn't look half bad, right? Well, you got to carry food with you. If fat loss is your main priority, okay? So Margaret has done a great job. She just did New Year, New You. How many meals did you have to bring a lot of meals for lunch and you prepped a lot of things for breakfast, or were you able to make it work by just, ordering it at restaurants and things like that?
No, I prepped everything.
Got it. So, and in the beginning, was prepping hard? Probably. But did it get easier?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, do you prep once a week or twice a week, Margaret?
Twice a week.
So, most people, if they're going to prep, they'll prep on a Sunday. I always say, especially like during a sports type season like a football, I will cut and chop and prep all during the games because you're multitasking. You don't really need to pay attention to the football game. You don't really need to pay attention to meal prep, but you're not getting bored. You get to do the best of both worlds, and especially if you're a football fan, you're not getting yelled at by your little honey dog. You're just sitting on the couch watching football. No, I'm prepping all the meals for the week, by the way. I think that's pretty awesome. For those of you who don't, I'm saying that as a joke because Kelly would never ever say that. But so you got to have bars. You got to have pieces of fruit. You got to have hummus, crackers, cheese, things like that. You got to have stuff ready to go. Some of you, especially now we're getting into the summer months, you got to pack a cooler. So believe me when I tell you, an investment of like $10 at a Target or whatever for a little thing of cooler is going to make a gigantic difference if you prep. The other thing about it is if you've prepped, how many of you have ever come home and you're running late and you didn't pull something out and then you're just like, screw it. I'm gonna order something. I'm gonna go get something, or I'm gonna heat up something. That doesn't happen at our house very often. I mean, because we are very diligent about making sure we take something out. And then, like when it's my parents' anniversary or when it's a special event, well, then we're going to go out for that. But we cook in a lot, okay? How do you do it? Well, a lot of times, most people go crazy at lunch, especially say, like, I'll use John as an example. I mean, John, how many times a month do you have to go on some sort of outing with a client or things like that? Do you have a lot of lunches out, or maybe you don't?
10?
Yeah, I mean 10. So that's literally 2 weeks worth out of 4 weeks. He has to go out to lunch. I mean, he has no choice. He's either being entertained or has to entertain. Well, that's going to absolutely annihilate your diet if you're choosing poorly. Right? Okay, so really try and handle those lunches. Do a little research. The lunches will be easier. Oftentimes, low fat doesn't mean low calories. They're having, and we'll get to a little bit of the carb thing in a minute, but I wanted to drive some points home before I did a little sciencey stuff, because the sciencey stuff isn't fun. So low fat, often they're putting other ingredients and other fillers and things like that that drive up the calorie count, and then you're getting hammered. And then arrange your schedule so you'll be home most times for meals, okay? Some of you can do that, some of you can't. Some of you are retired in this room, and it's a little bit easier to do that now. Some of you, I believe that Kelly and I eat better when we're busier, because we really have to prep. And sometimes I think for people who don't have a job to go to or don't have things to do, they just like, yeah, whatever, I'll just do whatever whenever I can. Make sense? I just put this in because I wanted you guys to recognize like some of the major things that you should be thinking about when you're looking at food labels. Okay? Obviously, you don't want it to taste like cardboard. For those of you who don't know me, I've been doing this for 28 years. If you ever had to drink the protein shakes that I had to drink in the first 3 or 4 years of mine, they were awful. Like, I would have died for Ensure. That's how, Ensure is awful. They were terrible. So my point being is that you can get healthy tasting good food. And most of the time it's just by making sure you shop on the outside of the groceries, which is what I think our next talk is going to be about, how to grocery shop. Watch your total calories, saturated and trans fat, sodium, fiber, and obviously if you're not working out 5 or 6 days a week, that's going to be a problem. I've had many people, we just, for the people in the back who don't know us, we just finished our New Year, New You program. It was a program where we tried to get everybody to work out 5 or 6 days a week, and everybody, almost without fail, has said adding that 5th or 6th day made a huge difference. So I want to give you some ideas, especially who skips breakfast. Actually, you know what? Don't put your hand up, because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But skipping breakfast is absolutely by far the worst thing you can do. I will say this on camera because I'll probably have to put that out there. I am not a big fan of this whole fasting thing, this semi-fasting where you don't eat from 8 p.m. to 2 p.m. and then you eat as much as you can from 2 to 8. I think that's a bunch of hooey, especially with what we do. And it really screws up your workout schedules. So to me, I still believe that if you wake up in the morning and you're like, somebody better find me some food or I'm going to punch you in the face, then now you know your metabolism is kicking in just fine. You're doing just right. So try not to skip it. If you do skip, then you're more likely to choose unhealthy foods for lunch. So try to be careful for the rest of the day, especially if you skip. Aim for between 400 and 500 calories. So here's the deal. I'll give a blanket example. A 1,500 calorie day diet is very real for what we have to do for most of our clients. If you're a bigger guy or a bigger woman, we're going to give you more than that, but we very rarely go lower than 1,500 calories. So if you have 500 calories at breakfast, and 500 calories at lunch, and 500 calories at dinner, we've hit 1,500. And then I want a couple of snacks in there, and that's a good bar that's 200 calories here, or a protein shake that's another 150 calories there, and a little cheat something here and there, and then we're at that 1,750, and bam, that's a great day. Okay? The problem is when you see all those pictures that we saw earlier, and we're choosing a meal that has 1,800 calories just in the meal. And then you've had all those other things throughout the day. So when you're prepping, it's a little bit easier to know what you're doing. And if at all possible, eat breakfast at home or bring your own. So again, these are just a couple ideas if you have to eat out. Egg McMuffin is only 300 calories. You're not doing too bad. Turkey bacon breakfast sandwich is only 350 calories. I can tell you how many times I've had that when we're at a seminar because it's actually, look, I mean, that's not a terrible meal. If you are going to a restaurant, any sort of egg dish, and if you're an egg white person, that's fine, but you don't have to be an egg white person anymore. The research is showing the cholesterol is not that big in the yolk, so don't freak out about that anymore. Wheat toast, I'm going to tell you, wheat toast is not always wheat toast, even though it says wheat toast. Okay, if there's not a lot of nuts on it, then you probably shouldn't have that toast type thing. If you're big into the protein thing like we are, turkey bacon is not something, or sausage or things like that, they're not the things I'm going to tell you to stay away from. You're allowed to have those things. Okay? The things I want you to stay away from are the cheeses and the breads and that kind of stuff. And then if you're at a meeting or a conference, you know, I mean, again, I'll use John and Margaret because I know that, you know, they're kind of in a corporate environment. How many times does somebody bring in bagels, or you go to an event and they've put out a spread? Okay? A half a bagel's not going to kill you unless you're doing it every day that week. Okay? And remember, I said a half a bagel. In my world, I speak about the bagel, especially if I know it's a doughy one. And then oatmeal fruit, a lot of times they're having yogurt parfaits and stuff like that. You can get a little crazy with those. So again, you know, just make good choices. All right, so now we're at lunch. Again, we're still at 500 calories. Here's the thing. It's hard to get vegetables at breakfast, and I know that, so I'm not even going to try and get you to do that. But can you have a vegetable at lunch? Mm-hmm. So John just had a great, like a poke bowl. And so from the place over at Central and Camelback, right? And I saw the good salmon and the good fish in there. What was the vegetables? Were they peppers or?
Edamame and.
Oh, edamame, okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, not bad stuff, okay? And so nowadays, especially like, I'm a big fan of the poke bowl thing, especially the way Kelly and I will do a poke bowl is we'll get a base of cabbage or Brussels sprouts. And then their scoops of rice are normally fairly substantial, so we ask for a third or a half. So we get a little bit. You know, it's okay to have a little bit of rice, especially if you like it. If they have quinoa, even better. And then go to town with the fish and the vegetables and the cucumbers and the seaweeds, and then you will be full. So great. That's a great option for lunch. Sometimes soup and salad is where you think you're going to go right. Well, we've already had a discussion about sodium. Sodium in soup is just stupid. It's just crazy. And oftentimes when you get soup, especially if you're going to get a broth-based or some sort of, you know, you want to stay away from biscuit and creamy stuff, but if you get a broth-based, you're not going to have a lot of protein. And so now you're going to be starving again in just a little bit. And it's like, okay, well now I'm going to go snack on something I shouldn't have had. Okay? So quick recap on this. Grilled chicken sandwich, no mayo. Oftentimes if I have to do that, I'll take the top of the bun off. You got to lose the mayo then. And you normally get the lettuce and the onions and the tomatoes, and you just eat half, or I fold it in half. So you're not getting killed that way. Small and regular size burger, again, take the top off, get rid of the mayo. Deli sandwiches with lots of veggies. Notice we saw that double roast beef. Subway, double every time the protein. You will absolutely not regret it. Stay away from the mayos and the Dijons and the things like that. Tacos are always great. I am a big fan of a lot of the fajitas in town, and I don't even eat the tortilla. I just eat the fajitas and the onions and the peppers. That you're not doing terrible there. Again, it's not going to be as great as home because they're going to use just bulk oils and bulk ingredients to make life easier for themselves. Kelly and I are huge fans of guacamole when we make it. Okay? I mean, you know, my parents have had our guacamole. Actually, if you've ever been to one of the parties in the early years, we made, you know, a very, very lean guacamole, and you can eat that till the cows come home with carrot sticks, with pepper sticks, not with like chips and chips and chips. If you still want fries, if you absolutely, and I'm guilty, I'm a fry guy, okay? Just get a small one, okay? And if you're going to get fries, you should only get them at the tavern by Mark Turbo. Those are the best fries. Okay. Last one, dinner. If you go out to dinner and they come with the bread basket, you say, get away. I don't even say no thank you anymore. I go get it out of my sight. They've seen me do it. Okay? If it's there, I don't care who you are, you're going to eat it. Okay? So don't even let them bring it. Now this one I thought was a good trick because I've never done this one. But what if you ordered the bottle of wine and said, please don't bring it until the meal arrives? A lot of you don't do that. I don't do that. But that would be interesting. I'd be very interested to see, will you have less wine on an evening if you're just waiting until all the food gets there? Make sure if you're ordering, I see a couple heads bobbing.
Yeah, get one down before the food.
If you're gonna do something like a la carte-ish, where like, you know, you get a steak or a fish or a chicken and the group is ordering vegetables, go to town. Just ask them to grill them. Tell them not to saute them. Just, you know, the healthiest version of what they can do. You can often get green beans, broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts cooked fairly cleanly, and you're not going to get killed with that. But notice, a lot of this stuff, you have to actually open your mouth and say, hey, you have a healthy version of this? Actually, we do. No one ever asked for it. Okay, great. We want that one. Yeah, it's not going to taste as good as if you got butter and cream and all the sauces and stuff on it. But, you know, what's more important? What you see in the mirror when you wake up and you're standing there in your underwear? Or the meal? That's the question. Light beer, wine, gin and tonics, vodka tonics, you know. Actually, I'll show something in just a second. Aim for about 500 calories, again, at dinner. That's a little bit harder. So there you go. All right. Best choices. I'm going to speed up a little bit because there's a couple more slides I want to get to. Grilled fajitas, don't eat them all. Salad with protein, dressing on the side. Always, 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 always dressing on the side. Okay? If you're going to have dressing on the side, imagine there's a little bowl of dressing, stick your fork in there, stab, and then eat. It's not, because you'll probably do more than they did anyway. Okay? Steak, chicken breast, I'm a big, big, big fan of those. And fishes, I'm always a big fan of those. Best choices if you're going to do snacks. I like the little hummus things with pitas and vegetables. Peanut butter and jelly, killer. Believe it or not, peanut butter and jelly on whole grain, great, great snack. Especially if you work out at lunch. If you absolutely need chocolate, just think Halloween. Okay? They literally, I don't know how Kelly found this. They literally make Kit Kats that are like this big and one thing. They're like 25 calories. They're still in my house since Halloween because I don't like Kit Kats, neither does Kelly. But if you cannot have them. But literally, like it will 2 bites and you're like, good, I'm done. Like I got over that craving. York peppermint patty, that's Kelly's downfall. But they make little ones. This is just for traveling. Again, I knew there were a couple people who were going to want to watch this later. Don't forget your sneakers. Always go, make sure you have time in your schedule when you're traveling to work out. Because when you travel, you're going to eat more. You're going to choose to, when in Rome, you know, I'm not going to tell somebody to go to Italy and not have pasta every night. That's the dumbest thing in the world. You just saved up to go to Italy. Eat what you want. Just earn it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about alcohol. This is where everybody's going to go, oh, shit. So, I saw these in here. Who knows, without me showing you, how much liquid is in here?
8 ounces.
This is 8 ounces. So you have to take 3 ounces out of here. And there's a glass of wine. Yeah, room just got real quiet. My mother just grabbed her water going on. Okay, that's a big deal. Okay, our joke is it's called a Houston's pour. If you go to Houston's, they give you a glass that's like a Merlot glass, and they fill it up. And we measured it one time, and it literally was 4 glasses of wine that they're giving you one. I mean, you're paying for it. But
Where's this?
I could. There's a couple things I could find, but I just thought, just having a little evaluation. So 5 ounces of wine, a 16-ounce beer. Now, a lot of people have 8-ounce beers now, 10-ounce beers, 12-ounce beers, so you can cheat a little bit there. They have 100-calorie beers. Okay, I will tell you this, and this will make you laugh. Every year, I buy Michelob Ultra for the anniversary party that will be on Saturday night. Every year, there's 24 bottles of beer in a case. Every year I'll take 22 home. But every other damn beer will be gone. We ran out of beer last year, which reminds me, Dad, you have to tell me how much beer we had to go out and get because we have to order beer for this party. So my point is that beer's a killer, okay? Even worse than wine in a lot of cases. I'm not a cider guy, so I don't really know much. I'm not a margarita guy. I'm not a pina colada guy. I'm not a mojito guy. But I wanted to put those on because if you're going away and you go to a bar and you're like, oh, it's 2 o'clock. I want something sweet. You order the margarita, pina colada, mojito thing, and you're getting your ass handed to you. Okay? And here's why. Just a little bit of how much alcohol is in each thing. Okay? I think we can pretty much stop, after the first 2. I mean, there's not a lot of people having sherries and ports and spirits and things like that. I mean, if you're that person and you're that after dinner drink person, you're getting killed down there with 40% alcohol and a whole lot of sugar. But this is the one I wanted to show you. Number of calories per serving size. Again, if the pina colada is something that you have every once in a while, all right, no big deal. But margaritas are going to be up around the 200, and the regular beers around the 200. And as you kind of get down into your light beers and your brandies and your whiskeys and your things like that. So if you're having something in tonic, something in soda with a lime, those kind of things, you're going to be able to handle that a little bit more than if you're going to have cranberry juice or orange juice or Long Island iced teas. Anything that just has a lot of color in it, you're probably getting a lot of sugar. All right, so I wanted to kind of do real life stuff before I got boring. I'm going to be done in 4 minutes, John. Yep, I'm going to be done in 4 minutes. So what are carbs? Good or bad? Okay, I'm just going to go over this is a little bit of the sciencey stuff so that everything else made sense. That's why I did this last. This is what I'm going to cover in the next 4 minutes. What are the types of carbohydrate? How many carbohydrates do I need daily? So definition of a carbohydrate. It's a compound containing carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen that is important. You need it for energy. You cannot sustain without some level of carbohydrates. Most of the people who get food plans from Kelly, myself, and everybody on our team are going to get their carbohydrates from vegetables. There's not going to be a lot of pastas. There's not going to be a lot of grains. There's not going to be a lot of breads. Okay? Your body uses carbohydrates to make glucose, which fuels the body. But this is the thing I want you to get. Glucose can be used immediately, or it will be stored in the liver. Okay? So when you eat your carbs, and if you follow any of the advice that we say, and if anybody looks at me with that look of, I've never heard you say that before, I might pick up this refrigerator and throw it. Because we tell you that if you're going to have carbs, it should be in the meal after you work out. That's the best. If you're going to cheat a little, if you're going to have, that's when you want those, because your body's going to go, gimme, 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 gimme. Now I need this. Now I have energy. I'm good to go.
So I gotta start drinking beer in the morning.
Right.
Oh, boy.
So you also want to watch your fibers and things like that, which I might put in another talk. I didn't spend a lot of time on fibers. Carbohydrates can be found in the following. All fruits are carbohydrates. All vegetables are carbohydrates, bread, cereals, some milk products, any food that has sugar in it, that's going to be considered a carbohydrate. Okay, now there's sugar in other things too, but just I'm trying to make it blanket. I'm not trying to make this a college course, okay? Again, a little bit more wordy just to kind of get it under control. Good carbs have more fiber and more complex carbs. I'll explain what the difference between complex and simple is in a minute. You want to, guidelines recommend choosing fiber-rich carbs. Again, I'll tell you what those are, but fiber-rich foods include fruits, vegetables, whole grain breads, and whole grain pastas. Notice that it says whole grain, not whole wheat. There's a difference. 9 grain, 20 grain, 22 grain. There's a big difference between that and whole wheat. Whole wheat is kind of like in that gray area. They can call it whole wheat and it's really not. So be careful with that. Bad carbohydrates are referring foods with refined carbohydrates. And what does that mean? They're added sugar and added white flour. So as Frank used in his thing, anything that tastes good. That's a bad carbohydrate. So what's the difference? Complex carbohydrates, they help you last longer. You feel better. So like Margie is probably dying for a complex carb right now because she's already played an hour and a half of pickleball. She just did an hour workout, and right here her body's going, you better feed me soon. Because right now her body is depleted and will absolutely devour that. Okay? And I'm going to give you some ideas of what these are in just a second. Okay? Carbohydrates that come from starchy foods such as whole grains, flour, seeds, nuts, vegetables, and fruits. Bad carbs are anything that when you look at the ingredient, there's an ose at the end. And I gave you a couple of examples. Glucose, sucrose, fructose, maltose, lactose. There's about 35 more of them. Okay? So that's why we say oses. Okay? That's where you get into trouble. All right. 2 types of carbohydrates, complex. So those are the starchy dietary fibers. That's your whole grains. You can get some, like there's even some manipulated stuff like the different brown rices and things like that. When you go to Benihana and you get jasmine rice that sticks together, like that's just think about how that sticks together and then imagine pushing that through your body. It's just sticking to everything, okay? Starches in certain vegetables like potatoes, dry beans, cereals, and corn. Sometimes potatoes are not a bad thing. We'll lean you towards yams and sweet potatoes than the baked potato that has this and everything on top of it. Fiber is going to be in every sort of fruit. So here's my thing. If you have a sweet tooth and you need fruit, eat the fruit. Don't have the fruit juice. Don't have the fruit fake. Don't have the fruit roll up. Eat an apple. Eat a pear, eat a whatever, okay? And then I'm just going to say this, but we'll talk about fiber another time. There are 2 different types of fiber, soluble and insoluble. Both are important for health. Some are easier to digest than others. Again, I could spend 20 minutes on that, and I didn't want to do that today. Simple carbohydrates can be found naturally or as added sugars. Okay, so again, we're back into that OS world. Okay, added sugars have fewer nutrients than foods with naturally occurring sugars, which is why fruits are not bad. Examples of ingredients as added sugars, so things you don't want to see. Things you don't want to see. Brown sugar, corn sweetener, corn syrup, dextrose, fructose, fruit juice concentrate, glucose, honey, or high fructose corn syrup. Now, some of you have been kind of hearing some of this for a long time, so no big deal. I have 2 more slides. How many carbohydrates do we need in a day? It depends. If you're working out like a TJ or a Kelly or a Margie, you need more carbs than if you're not working out, for 45 minutes to an hour a day. And on the days that you don't work out at all, you should really limit your carbohydrates that day and go heavy on the protein. MyPyramid.gov is a good option. I'm just trying to find something easy for you guys that you can just find and look at easily. We're normally going to keep you in a fat loss diet on the lower end of carbohydrates and the higher end of protein because we're trying to build muscle, and we really want you to have your carbs after your workout. So if you notice, the protein shakes in the gym don't have a lot of carbs because it's just trying to make that one simple 125 calories of pure protein. All right, so a diet plan that is based on no carbohydrates is not the healthiest approach. So again, we would never let you go below 35%. But I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to put you at, a 60% carbohydrate deal. Okay, I kept you about 6 minutes longer than I said I would, but I am also not going anywhere, so who has questions? You had a question, sir, about sodium.
Yes.
Now, everybody's sodium intake is going to be a little bit different. I'm just going to tell you that if you get anywhere around 1,000, you're probably pushing where you shouldn't, unless you're working out a lot like we do at our gym, and especially in the summertime months, you might need more sodium. So it's a very fine line. Some people, they have this much sodium in their diet, so small, and then their blood pressure goes through the roof. It's really something that you have to play with. If I take it all out, do I feel a million times better and my body's working better? Or sometimes, especially when you're working out like we are and you perspire a lot, you might feel like dirt. So you really it's a little bit of a trial basis. A blanket statement on sodium is really not something that most people are doing anymore. John?
What about cheese as a protein source in the morning?
I would not hate it in the morning because you have all day to burn it off. I also would say most people's definition of a portion of cheese is very warped. So you can have some cheese, like if you put a slice of low fat, low milk, cheese on an egg and turkey bacon, on a half an English muffin, am I going to kill you for that? No. If you're going to go to the cocktail party and every time someone comes up to you and says, "Would you like one?" and you're going to have 27 of those, yeah, you got a problem. So I don't have a problem with cheese in general, even throughout the day, as long as you're moderating how much of it you're having. Who else? We're very quiet. So let's do a quick wrap up. Okay, the wrap up on carbohydrates is as follows: low carb diets are not great if you're working out. If you're not working out, I might put you on a low carbohydrate diet. A lot of times somebody who's having a heart problem or is having a medical procedure, they'll put them on a ridiculously low carbohydrate thing because they can't get out of bed and move. They just need to get that weight off them so sometimes they can have surgery. For those of you who don't know me, we had a client who was 680 pounds. Okay, we got him down into the mid 200s. I can promise you that for portions of that, we really had to modify what he was eating because when it came to his sugars and his carbohydrates, sometimes he needed more because we had just depleted him for 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row. And I was like, all right, we got to get a little balance in that. Does that make sense? But so that showed we have experience with this. Like we know how to do this. Here's the deal, guys. Carbohydrates in its most simplest form are all about choices. Okay? I can tell you that if you look at that and go, do I want that to go right there? If you don't want that, then keep your mouth shut and look for the protein that's coming around the room, not the carbohydrate. And in my world, you better make the best of whatever dessert that is in the world, or Kelly and I aren't ordering it. When in Rome, if if we know that this certain restaurant makes the best cheesecake on the planet, we are gonna have a piece. We'll split it, but we're gonna have a piece. Dessert is not a required meal. Some people believe that it is. Chocolate is not in the food groups, okay? So I tell you that and my parents can attest to this, when Kelly and I cheat, we cheat. I mean, we go hard cheat. But that's because all the other time we're doing pretty good. You know, so little tidbit. If you're not on Facebook, you're gonna have to wait a week because it takes a week to get it up. If you're on Facebook and you go to Results Only Fitness, I show today in 4 minutes, at 6 o'clock, you will see this, in 4 minutes, how to cook salmon. On the salmon, on the grill. Scratch that, how to prep salmon in 4 minutes or less. I literally did it live, and I didn't do lots of like, you know, there was a bowl of this, there was a bowl of that. The only thing that was on the side that I had already pre-done was lemons. That's it. Everything else I did on the fly just like I would. So it's not that hard. Bye, John. All right. Just because I always like to say, you know, I always said this would be 45 minutes. I want to make sure I respect that for people who have to get back to work, but I am here, and I am happy to continue to answer questions, but I'm going to shut that off right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.